Welcome back to some Animal Crossing New Horizons. I'm dear darling, and shall we see what's going on our lovely island in Fawnhollow today, where we'll be, I don't know. What are we going to be talking about today? That's a very good question. One I don't have a good answer for you. I'm sort of just staring at my chocolate reindeer, which is sitting on my desk, half eaten, mind you. So I am slowly making my way through it. Eating fast, having sweets, and I'm hungry. Okay, anyway. Hello everyone. Right now in Fawnhallow, 6:09 p.m. on Tuesday, January 9th, 2024. What should we talk about today? Yesterday I did a bit of Baldur's Gate. We're getting very, very close to the end. So I think one of these episodes, one of these days is going to be about Baldur's Gate. And even more so when I'm playing now, I'm just like, oh, I really want to do my own let's play to see the companions quests, but that also takes up a lot of time, so it would be something I had to spread out over my own length of period of time. I mean, I already got enough things that I want to be doing all the time, so I'm not sure if I can really slot in a Baldur's Gate free playthrough there, but maybe it's something I can revisit in a future date or something. I don't really know. Hold on, did I title YouTube video that came out today? I did. Fantastic. I need to record some Okami today because I don't have a video for that going up. I don't really know what else to talk about, to be perfectly honest. I can't imagine the Steam sale is still going on, is it? It's Steam Capitalism and Economy Fest. Interesting way to phrase it, I will certainly say. I don't think any of these games are going to be something I want to play, but we can certainly see, with these piles of money. Scrooge McDuck's definitely not Fried Chicken Incorporated. What was that? Okay, I see. The business simulators, management simulators, which I will say not really my sort of thing. A lot of time, part of it's sort of my thing, and then it kind of stops being my thing after a while. I'm not really sure. Well, I guess because the game is so focused on efficiency, it feels like my sort of thing, because I like making things efficient, I suppose. But then it becomes no longer interesting, I suppose, once you sort of hit that critical mass of efficiency. I'm but I'm trying to think through my. No, hold on. We can't do another game about me playing games and the psychology thing. No, we gotta have a slice of life episode in here. We gotta have something chill, something relaxed. How's the D&D planning going? It's honestly going kind of slow. I find I don't know how about you, if you do a lot of writing or that sort of thing, but I feel like writing is the hardest one to get the sort of ball rolling when I want to do it. I mean, I have quite a few different hobbies, playing games, of course, drawing, writing, I suppose, and sometimes music, or not nearly as much that perhaps could or should be. But I feel like writing, for me at least personally, is always the hardest one to really get the ball rolling when I want to start. I'm usually pretty good at being okay, I've got this amount of time to do something, let's sit down and let's just get on with it, something like that. I'm pretty good, especially when it comes to drawing, I'm fantastic. I think most of the time at that. But normally the times that I stop drawing is when I'm I've done it for too long and I'm starting to get tired of that sort of thing. And normally that's if I'm doing something tedious, to be perfectly honest. Or if I'm drawing just too late, or if I'm in a call with my friends and I'm just getting distracted playing a game or something. It's a weird thing where me multitasking, I suppose, sometimes is out to the detriment, I suppose, of the things I'm doing, and sometimes it's not. But writing is definitely the hardest one to get going. If I want to sit down, I'm okay, I need to draw this thing. I think it's significantly easier for me to get started. And I think it's part of that reason is because the first thing you start with when you're drawing is sketching or ideation in the first place. And that's by far and away one of the... It's a fantastic balance of simple and easy to do and fun to do. I wonder if... I don't know, if people necessarily agree with me, because I remember this art meme I saw ages ago where people were just oh, sketching, yeah, roughs, yeah, refined sketching, yeah, line art, and then it's just that Mr. Incredible's face where he looks really sunken out of life, I suppose, and then flat colors, yeah, and then shading, yeah, rendering, yeah, stuff like that, and I remember I saw that very early on into my I wouldn't say art career, but when I started drawing and that sort of thing, I was what's wrong with line art? I find line art quite sort of meditative and anything. If anything, I find the worst thing to do rendering, because I'm just it's so difficult, I suppose. And that sort of thing. But nowadays when I do it, like I'm starting to agree with that sort of thing. You know, sketching to me is by far the most fun part, because it's when you can do a load of wild, wacky ideas and things. You don't have to get things exactly right. You know, things can be like 70% and it's like good enough, because it's about conveying the idea across. And then line art can be kind of draining. It depends on the line art. Back when I wasn't as good, I suppose, at like colouring and shading, I was like, line art is fantastic because I know I'll get it right. It's easy to do. It just takes time. But now I do it, I'm like, yeah, it is kind of training. I totally get it. I still find colouring and like rendering definitely, but not colouring, sorry, rendering the hardest part, which I guess it should be, but it certainly is the most rewarding in a sense, because that's kind of when you get the full finished piece. So basically what I'm trying to say is, when it comes to drawing a piece of artwork, the first thing you have to do is like rough sketches, and rough sketches are so quick, they're easy to put down, they're just like bada bing, bada boom, bada bing. The thing with writing is, theoretically it should be the same thing, because the first thing you do when you start writing a story is you go boom, like rough draft, boom, like planned outline of exactly what's going on, you know, just hit the key points, put anything down on that page and just go at it. But if something about it just feels so much harder, at least for me personally, to start writing than it is to start drawing, and I don't really know why. I mean, I would wager it's to do with experience. Like, I've done a lot more drawing than I've done writing, so I'm a lot more comfortable just getting straight into like doing a random sketch or something when I'm drawing something. But with writing, it's like I don't have that sort of muscle of like getting really comfortable just doing like a loose outline of a story or something like that. And I will say, it's not because when I'm writing, I'm trying to be like, oh, I'm trying to get it perfect first time. Like I feel like I've not transcended. I mean, yes, transcended, but that's quite like a grandiose word to use. But I've like gone past that step of like writing, where I'm like, yeah, I have moved past the sort of internal struggle being like, oh, it needs to be correct the first time. I'm like, no, it doesn't need to be correct first time. I just need to get literally anything down on that page and I'm good to go. But I think it's probably what I find most difficult is the conversion of ideas in my brain to sketch. Maybe because I think in a very visual manner rather than a very sort of like linguistical manner. The conversion of image in idea, or idea in brain to idea on page, is much easier visually for me than it is linguistically. Like, I would have, if I wanted to, well, illustrate's the wrong word because that literally means that if I wanted to convey an idea, I suppose, in my brain, I feel like I would conceive of it visually in my brain rather than linguistically. So, you know, like the idea of like, oh, I want like this character who's, you know, a bit like, who I'm trying to come up with something. Improv. Like, I'm trying to convey the idea of his character who is, you know, someone who puts on like a brave face but is like really turmoiled and pained inside, and because of like the weight of burden on their shoulders. I feel like I can convey that very easily with an image. I'm trying to think, you know, someone which has a fake smile on, and then maybe you have like a mirror in the background with a reflection with a bit more of a pained expression, or maybe cracks in the mirror and that sort of thing. So something to represent that duality, you know, that comes across a lot easier. But then if I'm like, okay, what if I was doing like the written equivalent of that, would be writing out a description of what this character's personality would be like. I feel like it's harder to put into words, I suppose. Like, I know that's sort of ironic because the only way I can convey any information to you right now is linguistically, so I've already kind of converted it into words. But I'm like, how do I fill that out even further? Because when it comes to drawing, I can see the next steps. Like, okay, let's now add some details. What does this character look like? What you know, what are they wearing? Like, where are they, etc., etc. But now it's like, okay, now how to flesh out that story is like, it doesn't come as naturally to me, which is expected because I've done less of it, to be perfectly honest. Like, I don't mean to sit here and be like, wow, why am I not good at something immediately the first way I try it. I'm just sort of here to talk about, you know, my own experiences. I don't mean this as an event as in I don't know why this is the case. I fully like understand why it's the case, I suppose. It's just, you know, it's still annoying, you know. I guess, you know, to put it into much more pragmatic words, I'm just here to rant a little bit rather than find a solution to the problem. The solution to the problem is literally just practice, break it down into more steps, maybe have like some bullet points of being like, these are sort of key things that maybe you should tackle bit by bit when like writing out about like a character, a scene, a story, etc., etc. And then you can fill in the details bit by bit. But because I don't have that natural instinct of this sort of like order of hierarchy of things I need to work on when constructing a story compared to constructing an image, it does make it significantly harder. So basically, this is a long-winded way of saying that it's really difficult to find that groove, I think, you know. That same groove I get while drawing. It's harder to find it when I'm doing like this writing, when I'm doing this world building thing. Like I have these ideas in my head of like these things I want to write down, of like I want to convey across into like my own notes, but I'm like, I don't know how to express this properly. But again, it's something where I'm like, I shouldn't get so caught up in these details. I should just get them down, and then we'll figure it out from there. I can refine it later on, because as long as it's a solid idea in my mind, it doesn't need to necessarily be as solid an idea on paper. Why? Because these are my own internal notes. These are just need to be like, I've got my own like filing catalog system inside my brain, being like, oh, this is what this character is going to be like, this is what this city is going to be like, etc., etc. I just need my own internal notes to prompt me to be like, hey, when I'm just like, oh yeah, what was the name of this city again? And then I can just like look it up, or like, yeah, which character was in the city again? Then I can just look it up with my notes, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, that character. And in my mind, I'll get the file. Is filedex the right word? I'll go through the filing cabinet, looking for this character, and being like, oh yes, I know conceptually what this character is meant to be like. I did not take in any of his Nookmar missions here. DIY projects, spend bells to buy items, okay, and flower seeds. Okay, let's buy some flower seeds, and let's buy some customization kits, I think. But it's something I just need to do it, you know. But you know, it's so much easier to do things when you're like in the groove of doing things. Like, I mean, that's kind of like duh, obvious. Is that also a feather duster? I don't think I've seen this before. Is this new? It obviously it's not new. It's just I probably don't buy enough things from Nookmar shop. I genuinely had no idea that was a thing. I don't think I've seen it before. Like, I've seen our villagers use it. I didn't know it's something that we could purchase. But yeah, I do think there's perhaps a little bit of truth within the idea that if it's so difficult, I suppose, for me to convey this concept on paper, even in a very simplistic way, maybe the idea is not as fully formed and functional in my head as I once thought, which I think is very true as well. I think that's certainly very true. Like, there's details of things which you don't even conceive of when you're just thinking of, no, that you don't even not believe, which are a bit of a blind spot when you initially conceive of the idea. That's what I was trying to say. I was like, all these words are getting jumbled up in my head, which makes it obviously a lot more difficult to illustrate exactly what's going on when you're trying to figure out what is left. But yeah, I forgot really where I was going with this, to be honest. It's sort of just like, this is who we are, this is who I am, and if you think you can stop me, then you need to think again. So we need to craft things and do food. I don't know, is that an easy item, like food item we can make out of coconuts? Because that'd be honestly the most convenient. I don't think there is though. Because then we could get like a whole bevy of Nookmar points, I suppose, while we're here. But no, we're gonna have a walks about our island. We'll need to find our craft, and then we'll do the coconut crafting. Yeah, I don't know. So like, getting started is just like, it's always so difficult when doing anything, I suppose. Well, is that true? I don't know. I don't think that's necessarily true for everything, but I do think it's true for a lot of his writing stuff. It's difficult to get started, I suppose, unless you crack that impenetrable shell of beginnings. Wait, have I already found our crafter? Was Raymond our crafter? I actually can't remember anymore. Maybe that's true, maybe it's not. I'm kind of surprised that Apollo's never asked for any of the items we've been carrying, because his customization looks basically untouched to like what it was initially. Yeah, where was I going with this? I don't know, getting started? Is that what I'm going to title today's episode? I'm not really sure, to be honest. I haven't really thought that far ahead. But yeah, I do just got to do it more. I do actually need to organise more of this as well. It's a lot. But it'll be fun, hopefully. Pick a colour and I'll tell you what food you're most like. I will say, out of these, gold. Why not? Gold. That means you're like, what's a really yummy gold food? Something everybody loves. I know, since you're like gold, you be a durian. So yummy. Smelly too, but I love smells. You do you, Biscuit. I don't think I've done Biscuit's voice for like ages, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this is a point where I'd be like, oh, if you have any tips, you know, let me know, like how to get started writing and that sort of thing, and like get into it. But really, I don't think there's any shortcuts around it. I mean, there's things that you can do to make it easier, but I think, you know, this is sort of like where diligence wins out over motivation, at least for me personally. And I'm sure for a lot of people, motivation probably beats out diligence, and I certainly think that is the case. Or when you need to have like spurts of like doing things, but diligence wins out when you need to have like a regulated something you need to get done within a certain time period, you know? That's at least my belief. Anyway, it's just sort of like, you just gotta do it. Is there a secret? It's a thing with these sort of, not these sort of things necessarily, but I find myself falling into this trap a lot as well, where it's just like, oh, is there like some uber secret you need to be able to do X, Y, Z or something? And like 95% of the time, it's like, no, that's not a secret. It's literally just, you just gotta do it, you know? Where there's a process, you got to learn the things, you got to learn the basics and the intermediate and then the advanced steps and that sort of it. I mean, you just got to practice and get good at it. There's no like little cheat. There's things which you can do to make it easier. Things that certainly information is like, oh, I wish I knew that when starting out. But there's no big secret to how to do something. There's no like, oh, actually, if you like spin around 3 times and then sit down, you'll trick your brain into actually getting into writing mode, and then it just makes it so easy to write. Nah, you just got to do it. Which is both a very disappointing but also a very encouraging answer, I think, at the same time. Because disappointing is then like, you know, of course all human beings inherently, you know, probably would like to take an easier route if they could. Maybe not in every single case, and certainly I can think of cases where I'd rather not take an easier route. But it's also, I suppose, you know, quite reassuring, because it does mean that you can do it in the end. You just got to put the work in. There's not, even though there's no great secret to doing something, it does mean that there's no great sort of like, what's the word? Not divider, and no great sort of like barrier to prevent you from doing something as well. Which I think is kind of reassuring in its own right. We've almost got like doubled up the entire layer of Lily of the Valleys over here, which is crazy. We just need one more. Just an absurd amount of Lily of the Valleys. Anyway, I'm going to have this episode off here because I don't think I've got anything else conversation to do. So with this, actually, no. Let's craft these coconuts, and then we'll do it. Because if I'm remiss in actually adding Nook Mile mission points, I suppose, every single time we do this, then eventually I'm going to run out and we're not going to be able to visit Captain's Island anymore. Not that I really need to visit Captain's Island, but it is still nice for trying to get recipes for seasonal events, which I've missed out on, especially because I'm like never shooting down balloons anymore. I wonder how many recipes I'm missing. Is there a way to look it up? Maybe I'll do that after I stop recording today's episode. See if I can have a quick look. How many recipes am I missing? Anyway, if you have been watching, thank you very much. It's been Animal Crossing New Horizons. I've been Dear Darling. Likes, comments, subscriptions, shares are greatly appreciated. Socials, Discord down below. And I hope we can see each other again. But for now, it's our farewell. So until next time, bye-bye for now. Bit of a weird timing, but still.